Hi guys, Cassie here. If you've been wondering where I've just been busy with my, you know, day job. I actually work as a dental assistant and I just started my stage recently, so I've been pretty busy. When I'm not available, you can check out our website. We have a lot of different articles. I try to write one at least once a month, and when I can, I do video reviews as well. So, continuing on, today we are going to be looking at, and I'm hoping I'm not butchering this, terrarium? Anyway, we are playing this game, and right now it is still in early access, so it's not super up to date yet. Like, it's not its complete final version, so we have to keep that in mind when it comes to looking at it. But it is quite interesting. I think it has a lot of potential. When I originally got this game back in March, it was even rougher than this. I find they've made some adjustments to the graphic quality that I've liked a lot, and it feels a little bit more fleshed out. They have more to offer in terms of the game. So the main aspect of this game is that you play this like weird little alien granny creature, and she has all of these little things called mongoose. Again, might be butchering that, but basically they're these little guys that you punt. It doesn't seem incredibly kind to the creatures, especially since the creatures end up dying, but the game kind of makes fun of that itself. Like, when you finish a level, it does stuff like this where it says like, what's wrong with you, or I've seen you monster and stuff like that. I do enjoy a game that has a good sense of humor, and this game certainly has that. It also has some variety, so the levels, they have like different enemies, they have different barriers. Like this one, for example, has these logs that you have to kill your little guys on in order to get through. They also have different types of little creatures that you throw. So the mongoose come in different types. These little red mongoose can kind of set fire to stuff. And there were in other levels, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but in other levels there were mongoose that were, fatter, and they couldn't be, swept around by the wind. And so they have good little features like that I quite enjoyed. I found the only thing that kind of annoyed me sometimes in the levels is what I just showed you, which is where, like, if there was kind of a visual barrier, like in other games where it would kind of become transparent, in this game they really kind of visually mess you up a little bit, which can be a little bit annoying. I still feel like they have a little bit of work to go in terms of the graphics. Like, sometimes it's not as smooth as I think the final product probably will be, but it's all there. It just needs to be built on, which I think is exactly why it's in early access. This game is actually pretty well priced for an early access game. I've seen early access games that are on the cheaper side, and I've seen early access games that are on the more expensive side. This is kind of like, not in a bad spot. In Canadian, it's $11.50. In other currencies, I don't know. But for, like a little bit more than $10 to play a little game that has problem solving and, is simple enough that anyone can play it, but still complex enough that you're not bored, I do like that. I think it's worth trying. And I actually find that the other aspect of this game, which is that you can build your own levels, is one of the best parts of the game. So we're actually going to move over onto that. So the level editor in this game is pretty intuitive. They have a lot of different options for you to be able to make your own levels. There's basically some preset levels. This one I think was called like a labyrinth or something along those lines, but there's a bunch of different types of levels you can choose from the start. And then once you choose those levels, then you can kind of add in the aspects you want to have. You can add creatures, you can add plants, you can add, you know, just purely aesthetic stuff. It ends up being quite interesting. And then not only can you add all of those things, it is really easy to then pop into your made level and try it out yourself, which I thought was really smart and really fluid. Like I was a little bit worried at first that it wouldn't work that well. I know a lot of other games sometimes have a little bit of trouble when it comes to that. When you go to press play, it might put you into a loading screen or something like this. Like, I really enjoyed the fact that as soon as you started the game, you were popped right into it. I also like that because it was so easy to test everything, you could pretty well see whether or not something worked and then make the adjustments that you needed to make. For example, what I'm doing right now, I was trying to have those logs, but they really need the fire mongoose that were in the previous part of this video, so I just ended up murdering all of these little guys, unfortunately. So once that was done and I realized, oh no, this is a problem, then I could just kind of quickly pop out, figure out how to get to delete it. And even though it took me just a couple of moments, I was able to figure it out fairly quickly. It was fairly intuitive. So I do think that one of the best aspects of this game isn't necessarily the levels that the creators have already done. Those are good, but they feel, at least from what I've started, they feel fairly basic. Maybe they get more and more complex as you go along, but I think the fact that anyone can make their own level, and that not only can you make your own level, but then you can share your own level. Now, that was an area that I can see that they're going to need to improve in. Because right now, when you want to have other people's content in the game, you can't do it straight from the game. You have to actually go into Steam. You have to save and download those levels, and then you have to go ahead and restart your game in order to be able to go ahead and do the levels. But once you have done that, you could probably save a bunch of them, restart your game all at once, and then go into it. So it's not the end of the world, but I do feel like it would be better if you were able to do it from the game itself and you didn't have to go into Steam to do it. But I don't know if that's a feature that they will be able to add in the future or not. So now that we've gotten a chance to look at everything, let's kind of break it down a little bit. Some of the cons are that it's not a complete product, it's still early access. The graphic quality could be better. I think they'll continue to improve it as time goes on. And sometimes objects get in the way. The pros of this game are that it's cute, it has a good sense of humor, it's priced pretty well, and it's going to continue to improve. It's early access for a reason. As time goes on, it's going to become a fuller and fuller game, and I think right now, even though it's not perfect, I think it's going in a good direction, and it is worth the money. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments whether you would get it yourself or not. And I wish you a good day. Toodles!